Going to be working on a vocal here. We're going to be adding compression to it. And what I like to reach for is an LA2A compressor when I'm tracking vocals, not when I'm mixing, but when I'm tracking. You can use it when you're mixing, but we're doing this the way I like to do it. So if you have an LA2A variant, you can follow along and make sure you have this emphasis knob on your LA2A plugin, because we're going to be playing with that. So we're going to take a listen here to this sample. I had to make a real quick beat for it. We're going to go ahead and take a listen to this.
I can't always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can't always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no. Leave at the 12. Ooh, I can't.
And then we're going to listen to it with the beat and instrumental that I just kind of threw together.
I can't always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can't always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no.
Okay. So the reason I even titled this Easy Vocal Compression is because this is your most basic compressor that you can use. You have two knobs. You have the gain knob and the peak reduction knob. So it's pretty hard to mess this up. For anybody that's a beginner out there, you know you've got the 1176s and other compressor types that have all sorts of knobs. They have the ratio, they have thresholds, they have gain knobs, and then input knobs, and then you're trying to figure out how that all correlates together. But with this one, it's just a gain and a peak reduction knob. That's it. And then you have your meter selector right here, so that you can kind of see how you're affecting the signal. Now, when I use it, I'm not looking at all this stuff, right? I'm listening with my ears. I'm listening how it sounds like by itself with the vocal. I'm listening to how it sounds together with the song, with the beat, and that's what I'm doing with it, right? So I'm going to be messing around with the gain. I'm going to be messing around with the peak reduction, and then I'm going to settle on something that sounds good to my ears. So I'm going to go ahead and play this together, and I'm going to be moving the gain and the peak reduction, and then you're going to be seeing how that affects the overall, not only the tone, because there is a little bit of shaping going on there, but you're going to be listening to how it affects the vocal with the song, or with the beat, excuse me.
I can't always come back to your rescue. You let me.
And right now it should be on unity gain. That's what it's called whenever it's on when it's basically at 0. It's not really adding anything to it, and it's not really compressing or anything. So that's what we would call unity gain. So let me go ahead and play this.
I can't always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can't always come back to your rescue.
And here you can see, obviously, when I go ahead and dial the knob over to gain reduction, you can see the VU level indicator right here moving, and you can see that we're really compressing that. And that's okay. You don't have to freak out and be like, oh my gosh, I'm over compressing. Doesn't matter. What matters is, what does it sound like? Does it sound good? Does it not sound good? There's people that are going to be like, oh, well, you should only compress up to -2 decibels or whatever. And I just hate that. It's like, okay, I can see situations where that type of advice is nice and stuff, like whenever you're trying to keep like a very clean signal, but what if you want the effect? What if you really want to emphasize things? So I advise you to learn learn things the way they're supposed to be done, but then throw all that stuff away, right? Once you learn something, it, it's not about technicality, it's more about feeling, right? So I want to feel the music. Once I learn how to actually use the tools, right? It should be instinct afterwards. It shouldn't be technical. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and play this.
I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can.
And if you hear that, you see how it kind of filtered out the whole frequency, so it sounds very filtered now. Well, remember how I was telling you should follow along with a plugin that has this emphasis knob right here, the HF. Well, this is what happens whenever you have it clockwise. And then when you have it counterclockwise, it allows for the higher frequencies to push through, and then it should only affect some of the lower frequencies. And you're still getting that compression, but now you're allowing clarity to come through. So just listen to how that sounds here.
I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no. Only at the 12. Ooh, I can. No, 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 I can.
And if you'll notice, it's still compressing, but it's allowing it to be clear, right? So if we switch this over clockwise versus counterclockwise, you'll hear that it's more muffled versus clear. So I'll go ahead and play that now so you can hear the difference.
I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no.
And generally speaking, I mean, it's going to depend on the instruments, the beat, everything that's going to tie together the song and everything, right? That's what's going to depend on whether you're going to have a clean sound or a more muffled sound, right? Because I don't know, your beat might be a little muffled and it might need a more muffled compressive sound than a clear compressed sound that allows higher frequencies to push through. So you're going to want to use your ears and listen out for that type of thing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and play it, and then I'm going to add some effects that I've already added beforehand so that you guys can kind of hear what it sounds like all together in the mix. This isn't fully mixed, but at least you'll get an interpretation of where this is heading, right?
I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no. Only at the 12. Ooh, I can. No, 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 I can. I can. That is not in my plans. No, I can. No, 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 I can't. I can. That is not in my plans. I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to you.
And we'll hear the before and after. So if I turn off the effects here on FL Studio, and by the way, I don't specifically just work on FL Studio. As you can see probably down here on the bottom, I've got Pro Tools, which was my main DAW when I first started music like 14, 15 something odd years ago. And I've got a couple other things here, but it doesn't matter what DAW you're using. It doesn't matter what tools you're using. I mean, you can see right here, I'm using a Fruity Parametric EQ2, and all I'm affecting really is just the high mid, the presence right here, and I'm boosting that. And I just hate these terms where like boosting, attenuating, and stuff like that. I just do whatever feels and sounds good to my ears, right? And that's the way you should be once you get a lot of the technical mumbo jumbo out of the way, right? You should learn the right way to do things, but then just forget all that and just play. But anyways, I've affected the high mid to presence, mids, and sort of the bass area right here. You notice I haven't cut anything. I haven't put a high pass filter, low pass filter, none of that stuff, right? Because I want, that sounds good to me. So I'm allowing it to pass through, right? And as you can hear, it's not that bad, right? And then you'll see a lot of people, and they don't talk about it that much, but there's a lot of people that don't even really equalize or compress, or just stuff just sounds so good the way it is already. And granted, they're in a treated room and they have better equipment, better microphones, but they don't really mess around too much, right? Once you get a hang of all the tools, then it's more just a matter of making sure the performance is right, making sure everything's just right, and you don't really need to tweak all that much if everything sounds good and everything's musical. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I think that's it for the tutorial. I'm still getting used to this stuff, and you can expect more tutorials. If you have any suggestions, just let me know. I'll help you guys out. So I'm going to go ahead and play this back and just enjoy.
I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no, 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 no. Only at the 12. Ooh, I can, no, 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 I can. That is not in my plans. No, I can, no, 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 I can't. That is not in my plans. I can always come back to your rescue. You let me down, so I left you right there where I met you. I can always come back to your rescue. Won't cuff you, no.